What's up, guys? Bryant Jr. here. This tutorial I'm bringing you is going to be all about rigging. In fact, I'm going to go over a few pitfalls that one might encounter when setting up a control rig for a character to be animated. This is a character, Little Eddie, that I've created recently, and he's a robot. I have cleaned the scene pretty much down to the bare bones minimum just for ease of understanding for this tutorial. So right now I only have his head in this particular version, this iteration of the scene. I've also created NURBS curves that are based on the geometry, and I've started with NURBS circles, and I've basically adjusted them to fit the shape of this character. Now this is very important because what I like to do, whether I'm animating or handing my model off for someone else to animate, it's very important that your system is very straightforward, easy to understand, and just makes sense. So when the animator chooses this eye, there's very little guesswork of what this control should do. We know that this inner circle is more than likely going to be controlling the pupils, if you will, and the outer circle will control this outer rim. So, and the teeth and everything else is sort of straightforward. If I move this curve here, the animator should know that it's probably going to be moving this part of geometry of the model. Very important. I've also created a title that is unnecessary for this particular tutorial, so I'm just going to hide it. Alright, cool. So let's get started. The first thing I want to mention is the version of Maya that I'm using. I'm currently using Maya 2017, and it has some amazing new features that I don't really want to go over in this particular tutorial, but just know that it's an incredibly great update of the Maya software. And one of those things is the workspaces. So right now I'm in the animation workspace. Because I'm going to be rigging, I can use this drop down and go down to rigging, and Maya will adjust the default workspace icons and windows and tabs to be more intuitive to the rigging workflow. So now I have my outliner on the left, my timeline, time range slider, mail script, have my attribute channel box on the right, and my workspace in the middle. Workspace in the middle. So now we can get to work. So the first problem that we encounter is when I select this circle of the antenna, it does not select the entire antenna. I want it to. I want to be able to select this antenna and rotate it. Let me center this pivot. I want to be able to rotate it, and it rotates everything properly. Right now, it's still recognizing these guys as two separate pieces or two separate NURBS curves. So let's talk about how we're going to make these two NURBS curves one. It's not as straightforward as one might think. So you would assume that you can select both of these curves, and under the modeling menu set, go to curves and do a simple attach. As you see, nothing happens. There's still two separate pieces. I'm going to undo a couple of items back. Alright, so one may think, oh cool, well that's no big deal. I'll just go to curves, open close curve. Still no dice. So how do we do this? How do we make both of these guys one when they have been created as two? Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do is select both of them, and to be honest, let's select all of these curves. And to use best practice, let's go to modify freeze transformations. That gives us a very clean control rig, control interface to start with. Now everything is at 0 in terms of rotation and translations, and our scales are at 1 each. Now back to the antenna. Select both of your NURBS curves, and in the outliner you can see curve 1 is selected, as well as NURBS circle 13. What we need is to see also the shape nodes. So to do that, we're going to go to display and click on shapes. If you'll notice, there's a little tick box on the right of them or to the left of them that will allow me to expand or contract the actual curve underneath the shape node. Alright, now the next thing I'm going to do is deselect everything in your scene so that nothing is selected, and go to create, go to group, edit, and group. What this does is creates an empty group node called null1. We want to change the name of this from null1 to antenna icon, and enter. Okay, cool. So right now we have an empty shape node that does absolutely nothing. So, I mean, an empty group node that does absolutely nothing. So why? Why do we do that? And I will show you. This will eventually become our driver or our selector for both of these NURBS curves as one. Now, the sequence in which you do this next operation is very, very important. The first thing I'm going to do is select the curve shape 1. I'm going to control select NURB circle shape 13. Now in the work view, I can see that I have both of them selected. The last thing you want to select is that empty group node that we created called antenna underscore icon. Awesome. Now that we have all three of those selected, we go to our mail line here and we're going to type in some mail scripting. Parent -r space -s and click enter. Awesome. Now what we have is under our antenna icon we have NURBS curve shape 1 and NURBS curve shape 13. Okay, well it still looks like they're two different pieces because they're two different colors. Now we will go to display and turn off our shape node, and we can see now the antenna underscore icon is in fact one NURBS curve. Alright, we're going to go to modify, center pivot, and now when I rotate this, they rotate together. One down. So cool. Now we have our antenna icon and we are ready to move on to the next one. Let's do these ears next. So let's select this guy and shift select this guy, and we're going to basically do the same thing. So this is curve 2 and NURB circle 14. Alright, so we're going to deselect everything and go to edit and create an empty group node. Gives us null here. We're going to name this ear underscore left underscore icon and go. I always do my right and left based on the actual character and not from the camera. So if that kind of confuses you, just know that this ear L is the character's left ear, not the left ear that I see looking at the character. Alright, moving forward. Now, ear L icon is now created, the empty group node, and now let's once again go to display, show our shape nodes, select our two circles that we want, or two NURBS curves that we want, expand them, and we will click curve shape 2, control click NURBS circle shape 14, scroll down, control click ear L icon last. Now once again we're going to type in our mail command, parent -r -s. Alright, turn our display shape nodes off, and now we have L ear icon. Once again, I'm going to center my pivot, and now I'm able to manipulate these two curves as one. They're literally now one curve. Alright, last one. We're going to do basically the same thing here. So let's create our empty group node, and we're going to name this ear R icon. Okay, let's select them both. Curve 5, NURBS circle 20. Going to display our shapes and expand these two guys. Select curve shape 5, control select curve NURBS circle shape 20. Control click ear underscore R underscore icon, and let's type in our nifty mail command, parent -r -s. Boom. Get rid of our shape nodes, and now we have our right ear control. I'm going to go to modify center pivot, and now I'm able to also manipulate that. So that's 3 down. You know, we have this guy, and this guy. that we can all, there are all now 1 NURBS curves. So that's it for this tutorial, guys. Really short and sweet, but I feel this is a really powerful thing to do. Now you can make thousands of NURBS curves just one, and be able to manipulate that as if they were all one piece, instead of having to group a lot of stuff and go up the hierarchy or down the hierarchy. It's just much simpler, much straightforward, and your animator will thank you for it. So if you guys haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, please do so. Click the like button, and any comments or suggestions or anything you have to say, pretty much put it under my comments, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Without further ado, this is Rob Bryant Jr. signing off. Holla.